Greg Tepper, Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com here for Texas Football Today at THSCA Coaching School and Coaching Convention with a guy who has coached at least 3 high school football games in his life, Coach Brian Brazel of the Hebron Hawks. Coach, I have to tell you, I am crestfallen, just devastated that you're not here with a mustache. We talked about this a couple of months ago, about how we thought you were going to grow out a mustache. And what happened?
Well, I had the mustache through most of the summer. I got back from my trip to Hawaii. I was a little disappointed nobody did mistake me for Tom Selleck the whole time I was there. If they would have thought it was me, I probably would have kept it. But since they never did mistake me for that,
it was a good mustache.
It was a mustache.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's pretty full.
What did Mrs.
Had
Brazel?
some nice
What did
compliments.
Mrs. Brazel think?
Oh, she loved it. You know,
is that her over there?
That is my wife. Yeah.
Mrs. Brazel, what did you think of the mustache? Oh, okay, we got the thumbs up.
Yeah,
so,
okay,
if Mama happy, then everybody's happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I guess
my kids hated it, but my wife liked it. So,
no, listen, I want to go on record. Anytime you want to grow a mustache, Dave Campbell's Texas Football supports you.
All right.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Maybe the Hebron Booster Club may not, but I don't know if they
Maybe
will.
I'll bring it back.
Let's talk a little bit about Hebron. Have you ever had a player like Clayton Tune? And I don't mean that in the sense of a great quarterback, because you've had great quarterbacks before. But he seems so uniquely polished in so many different ways. I mean, he's got. I don't want to speak for you. He's got to be one of the really elite players that you've ever coached, and that's certainly saying something. Yeah,
I mean, he's one of those guys that's just really. He just has such a calm disposition about him and everything he does. He's a great leader. The kids on the team, they know he's the leader of our football team. Mm-hmm. He runs the ball well, throws it well on the run, throws it well in the pocket. You know, people try to say, well, is he a dual threat quarterback? And I say, well, he's capable of being a dual threat, but what I consider him is he's a pocket passer that has the ability to take off and run with it. But he can definitely be a dual threat if you want to go that way. But to me, he's more of a true pro-style quarterback, very effective, be able to do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And on top of it, just like I said, just hard worker, every workout throughout the summer. He's just one of those kids that you just miss his presence. You know, when he got hurt this past year, it wasn't just his ability to play, but just the confidence that everybody had with him and just his presence on the field. But
what I think is always so funny is when you have a great defensive coach like yourself, who then gets a quarterback, and you say, okay, well, like it would make sense if you had when you had Jamal Adams, right?
Sure.
That's very on brand for Hebron. Great defensive coach, elite defensive player. You know, now. I always judge Hebron based on their defense. That's maybe just me. I think that when you guys have a great defense, that's when you guys are the most dangerous. What can you tell us about the 2017 Hawks defense? Are we feeling good?
I do. I think it's a real talented group. I think they're young. We don't have a whole lot of experience coming back up front. I think our 2 defensive ends that we have, though, are both Division I caliber football players. Paul Akiri was our tight end for us all last year. He's about 210 pounds right now, so he's a little lean to a lot of folks, but he's got the capability of putting on weight, plays with attitude every time he's on the field. And then, we got Chris Bedell, who is coming back as our nose guard. He actually tore his ACL toward the end of the season last year. He's a really solid player. And then we're getting DeCarlos Hatcher back, who missed the whole season last year and has never played for us at Hebron, but his dad, Jason Hatcher, played for the Cowboys and for the Redskins, and so we're really glad he came back after he finished his career at the Redskins, and so we're really happy to have him back with us.
Yeah, I'll say. And that is – I think that speaks to you guys' ability to develop not just top-end talent, but depth. That last year, you guys did – you mentioned you had some injuries. But the defense how do you instill that mindset in the twos, right? Because I think it's easy to motivate a guy who's supremely talented, who's going to be your starter. How do you go about building a program where your twos are as motivated to go out and say, I'm going to go get that job, or if that goes down, I'm going to be ready?
Well, I think first off, our coaches do a great job of, as far as our coaches have a position group that they work with, and they start working with them from the time they're freshmen all the way through. So there's a constant feeling of trying to develop those kids We want them to be playing well on Friday nights, but we want them playing well on Thursday nights too. We want them understanding the system. We want to try to be bringing them along. And, you know, fortunately for us, we went to the gym last year. We stole a freshman kid out of the gym to even play freshman football for us. He's going to be our starting safety, and he's going to be a great player for us. And then, of course, our secondary's pretty solid because we do have Mario Montez back, who's going to end up being a 3-year starter. We have Verone McKinley, and we have Joseph Angeloni. So those guys will all be back as starters from last year. But it's a little bit new in the defensive front, you know, in the front seven. But I think talent-wise, we're in really good shape with those guys, and I know Coach Mock and those guys do have a great defensive group ready to play.
Listen, when Verone McKinley is like the 8th or 9th player that you mentioned in an interview, I feel like you've got some blessings on your roster in that regard.
Well, we started off with offense, you know, and then we wanted to talk about the front. And, of course,
sure.
I'm a front guy, so I'm always going to talk about the front first.
You're biased. You're biased towards
the front. Exactly. But now Verone's a great player. We're happy to have him, and he does a great job for us. And but again, we're very fortunate because then on the back end, that is where our strength of our defense comes from right now. And but again, I do feel confident with the way our front guys are, and I feel we got again a good group of linebackers and be able to step into a great job for us.
Texas Football Today at the THSCA Coaching Convention, brought to you by our friends at Dairy Max. I want to ask you a little bit about nutrition. That seems to be the next frontier, right? That seems to be all these teams are well coached, and all these teams have great schemes and great talent. It seems like in a lot of respects, nutrition is kind of the thing that can set it apart. What are you telling your kids between, you know, especially in the off season, to get them ready? Because you mentioned it, they got to perform on Friday nights, and that's got to start in January.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the things that we have done is we have first period athletics with our kids, and the good thing with that, we're able to, as soon as we get done with our workouts and they get cleaned up, get up to the school, they are able to have time to get proteined up, do the things lunch, you know, to get the nutrition into them. So, you know, we really emphasize that, staying hydrated. I know one of the things that I know Coach Wilson, who used to be the head coach at Indiana, now at Ohio State offense coordinator, he talked about one of the things they really stress at Ohio State is the prevention of injuries comes so much through hydration. So we're really trying to emphasize those things with our kids, staying hydrated, drinking plenty of fluids, and always keeping themselves ready. And so we had a real physical spring, didn't have a concussion, and so we felt really good with the things we did. And, you know, so going through that, we feel good where we're at going forward.
All right, now we got to be silly for a moment.
All right.
This is our wheel of questions.
Great.
Some of them are good questions, some of them are bad questions. If you want to give that bad boy a spin, we can figure out what question we're going to ask you.
All right.
Brian Brazel, the Hebron Hawks, spinning the wheel of questions here on Texas Football Today. The answer is, all right, who was your biggest coaching influence? Who is the guy that you can list to? I'm not going to make you pick two.
No, I would really have to say Ronnie Gage. Went to coach for Ronnie Gage. I had a lot of great people that influenced my life. You know, Jim Wacker was my coach in college, and a lot from him. But always knew I wanted to coach, just feeling the influence. But I'd have to say, as a high school player, it was my defensive coordinator, a guy named Mike Venable. Just loved him. I felt like he always made me better. I thought he always made me better than what I thought I could be, and I thought that meant a lot. And I just thought having that influence was something I wanted to have. But Ronnie Gage, what I learned as a head coach and how to deal with people and dealing with coaches and dealing with players, parents, the whole thing, the culture he created there at Louisville High School, the passion he brought, the way he allowed his family to be a part of his program. And so I think Ronnie Gage, without a doubt, I mean, that guy's a great coach, and learned so much from him. And I think everything I do, I really model my program as much as I can from that. We're always going to have our own little flair, but he'd definitely be the man.
Well, what's funny is that there are some coaches around here that if they landed on that, they'd be like, well, I guess I got to go with that guy. You have like 8 or 9 guys that you could. I mean, you know, the coaching tree from you know, both above and below you is so vast.
You say that, and that's one of the things. I mean, I could say, even though some of these guys worked for me, but I'd say Joe McBride, Shea Nanny, I mean, those guys were tremendous coaches in helping me to get our program started where it is. I mean, it just goes on and on. Tim Wasson, he and I coached together at Louisville, is now the defensive coordinator at South Lake. I mean, all these guys, and I could go on and on and on just as far as the different people. But there's no doubt about it, I've been very blessed to be around a lot of great coaches.
Brian Brazel, the head coach of the Hebron Hawks, a mustache coming to a sideline near you. Coach, appreciate your time, Brian.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, man. This is Texas Football Today.